think that guy was trying to get me to play his song. I guarantee that's what it was. But I was... Why? Oh well, I'm not gonna think about it that hard, actually. Normalize not thinking. Okay. And let's get up to Streamlabs. That was actually a really good pause for my voice, too. Though, I'm gonna make sure I didn't accidentally... Ugh. No, thank you. I don't really think you're a fan of my stream. Alright, anyways, that really got me off guard. Can I delete that VOD? Because honestly, I don't even want it up on my channel. Yeah, okay. So that'll be easy. I'm glad I did that. We were so freaking bad, right? I like ate, I like did shit. It was actually great. I had to turn down the game, I almost forgot. There we go. I'm gonna keep it here. That is so kind of him to give him all the money. 2.5 will go to me, and 2.5 to go to Rosa. That division scheme makes me so grateful I could cry. So you're saying for the sake of the gold that doesn't exist, I must pay you 7.5 billion yen. What's wrong? Nissan, your share is 5 times the size of ours. These are such good terms, I'd be jumping for joy. Our fourth condition. The gold will be liquidated and distributed along with the inheritance at the time of father's death. However, as a deposit, 10% of our portions are to be paid to us promptly. These payments must be made before March of next year. So they're not even sure if he's gonna die, but they're still gonna have him pay him. Damn, Ryukishi predicted Russia extorting Trump and he's VN? Wait, VN? I'm blanking. What does VN stand for? Oh, visual novel. It was a quid pro quo. What do you think, Kraus? This is an Ideal chance for your... This is a super good faith proposal from the siblings, honestly, so he should take this if he has the money. This is an ideal chance for you to restore the trust regarding your handling of father's assets, isn't it? Of course, it might not be impossible to get a whole 7.5 billion yen before father dies. Put my keys on my table. But it should be possible for you to manage a deposit of 750 million, right? Paying 700 million in half a year might sound like a pain, but you should be able to manage it. What with all your friends in the political and business spheres. Normally, we'd hope to receive the 7.5 billion now, all at once. But out of concern for you, we'll show our sincerity by asking only 10% of that for the time being. The remaining 90% can wait until the inheritance is distributed. See? Even you'd be capable of managing a mere 10% to show your sincerity. I don't think he takes it. I don't think he's gonna take it. So you're trying to sell me the right to assess father's financial situation for 750 million yen? How impressive. You all have certainly grown. To think that I'm now being the one offered deals. Nissan, if you accept that these terms, the rest of us siblings will leave the investigation of father's assets to you. However, the results of that investigation will be subject to scrutiny. It's only natural, right? We'd be so sad if you managed things so that our 7.5 billion share shrank. We'll avoid complaining, as a general rule. Just make sure you don't do it neat and tidy. Also, as long as you don't try anything that's blatantly obvious, we've got no intention of stirring things up. We want our inheritance quickly, too. We don't want to get it all drawn out and left hanging. If a complaint is made, who would you carry out the follow-up investigation? We don't mind if it's you. This is probably the first and last chance for us siblings to reach a consensus. I believe it won't come to that. Heh, cackle cackle. Looks like even you can speak up now and then, Rosa. By this point, it's obvious that Kraus wasn't all that trusted as the oldest sibling, so there's no need to go into detail. The formerly tyrannical oldest brother had always abused his privileges and violated the other siblings' shares. It was the response to this that the other three, now adults, were finally teaming up and striking back for the first time. Sorry, but there's more. Our fifth condition. This decision must take precedence over father's will. Later on, we don't want some will to appear and make this decision completely irrelevant. I see that you're very cautious. Then let me ask, if the gold were really found, what would you do? Since you'll be making payments to us for what the gold's worth, the rest of us really don't care if we ever see the gold or not. You can think of our shares as an advanced payment. It's good to have dreams, isn't it? These guys are absolutely taking their older brother out the pasture. You plan to turn this island into a resort, right? You might stumble upon the gold by chance during construction. Ava let out a high-pitched laugh. Kraus watched, but didn't even flinch. Let me add a seventh condition before I accept. In the situation that any other sibling than myself finds the gold, they will immediately turn it over to me. That's good. Yes, of course. We'll hold on to it for you. Giggle. It was a play on words. So now they're all taking the bet that the gold exists. Of course, the others, who were forcing Kraus to pay money for some non-existent gold, wouldn't save Kraus his portion if they actually found it. From the beginning, this deal had been nothing more than a threat directed at Kraus. Regardless of the... Well, I think Kraus kind of deserves it. Because his wife's an asshole. Regardless of actual facts, it was still extremely likely that Kraus was embezzling his father's assets. When Kinzo faced death at last and had his inheritance distributed, some unpleasant facts would surely come to light. That could easily become fatal to Kraus. The others had spotted this weak point and were threatening their brother under the veil of compromise, trying to wring a huge sum of money out of him. However, they had forgotten one thing. They had forgotten that their brother's brain moved so swiftly, at least when it came to cunning and guile, that they'd been forced to band together to combat him. While Ava couldn't stop smiling, sure of her victory, Kraus let out a gloating laugh to show how relaxed he was. Ha! This all makes for such a touching story. My estrangement from you all has left a deep pain in my heart. If accepting these conditions means we as siblings can become friends again, it would please me to no end. I'd be happy to agree to your deal. Rejoice, Rosa. We have reached an understanding. Ellipses. Rosa's expression dimmed. It was never a good sign when her brother started talking like this. Ava also keenly picked up on this. That's why she was unable to wipe away any sense of unease, even though Kraus had obediently accepted the deal. My, how obedient of you. It's not unlike you at all, Nissan. What a cruel thing to say. Are you implying I have some ulterior motive? Of course I don't. I'm just the same as all of you. Just the same as all of you. He seemed to emphasize that just that one part. The color of Rudolph's face darkened. To him, it sounded as though Kraus was saying, I have a plan similar to yours. So Rudolph panicked. He rushed to bring this nearly resolved discussion to a conclusion. Then we're good. So, Aniki, would you mind signing here? This is a written contract summarizing the discussion we've just been having. There's one for each of us. Everyone will sign for the same contents. Rudolph took the 4 written contracts out of his breast pocket and had the details of their deal written on them. The 7th condition you proposed, of course, will be added right now. Don't worry about that. Aniki, need a pen? Rudolph took a fountain pen out of his breast pocket and offered it to Kraus. Kraus made as if to accept it, but then, with a small laugh, he drew back his hand without taking it and spoke. Actually, in order to ensure that... Are they going to sign in blood? Are they going to sign in blood? Is it a blood pact? Oh, please be a blood pact. I'm begging you, fiction. Yeah, it's going to be a blood pact. We've already decided, haven't we? Just stay quiet and sign it. Why are you in such a hurry, Ava? Of course I'll sign. I promise the share of the gold going to all of you will be 7.5 billion yen. I also promise that when Father's inheritance is distributed, I will cleanly and neatly liquidate it. However, there is one point that I must insist you compromise on. What are you talking about? What don't you like? That part about promptly paying 10% of your share, 750 million yen. As you pointed out, my financial situation is far from prosperous. While I can guarantee that I will collect on future investments, I must admit I am quite poor at the moment. In short, I have absolutely no money that I can move around right now. I'm incompetent and my business sense is dull. I think he's lying. Since I am the loser you all claim me to be, I don't have the power to move 750 million yen in just half a year. That can't be true. Are you trying to deceive us with such a half-baked trick? the time of the division of the inheritance, I will liquidate everything at once. Remove the condition that I must pay you 10% in advance. That is the only condition under which I'm willing to sign. Kraus, that 10% is nothing more than a number that measure your sincerity, isn't it? How about you talk him down to 5? All things being equal, you shouldn't have any room to negotiate at all. We're doing a huge favor, but yeah, I don't. If he says he doesn't have he can't move the money, then I think he's bullshitting. I don't think they should sign this. I think they're going to. Now that we've explained that, you rejecting our offer would seriously damage our trusting relationship, right? Hideyoshi had a humble expression on his face and was rubbing his hands together, but his eyes weren't calm at all. Kraus had already seen through the shadow in the depths of those eyes. Huh. Why are you all in such a rush? Or could it be that you're afraid of something? Rosa, won't you tell me alone? Secretly, so the rest of the siblings can't hear. It's not as though I quit it, Aneki. All we're asking is that whether you're gonna sign or not, just forget about making any strange deals or any other suspicious moves. Huh? You say I have no room to negotiate? Are you trying to claim that I'm in a weak position, which therefore puts us in an unequal relationship? Shivers began to crawl up Rudolph's back. He began to feel himself getting overwhelmed by the height of his brother's completely insurmountable wall and the long shadow that had existed since they were children. Shouldn't deals be made on even footings? From my perspective, this deal will help restore the long-lost trust of my younger siblings and deepen the love between us. It's an old problem that has been eating at me, and I would prefer to resolve it as soon as possible. I would be overjoyed if we could resolve it today. However, it seems I'm not the only one who'd be quite glad to close the deal quickly. Am I wrong? Yawning. Kraus stared at each of his siblings. They avoided his gaze with animal-like instinct. Only Hideyoshi was slow in avoiding it. So he was caught by Kraus's gaze. Hideyoshi-san, I hear that your company's been doing extremely well lately. At a brisk pace it went public, and both its track record and stock prices have soared. I'm still not over the fact that basically these guys are doomed to fail because the Japanese economy is going to crash in 4 years. So like all this is kind of just for goofs. We aren't here to talk about my husband. However, it is unfortunate that you've neglected your stockholders. It's even more unfortunate that you were unable to solidify your base when you became stock listed. Before you realized it, some bad-natured colleagues of yours had bought up a huge share of your company's stock, right? How could you know about that? The same way you knew about me. If it's possible to collect evidence proving that no one would offer a loan to me, then it's possible for me to collect evidence on you. Is it really so unexpected as that? Kraus grinned broadly. In contrast, Hideyoshi's face was rapidly turning pale. Whoops, did I miss something? No. Hideyoshi's company was a restaurant chain management company that he'd started from nothing. Thanks to Hideyoshi's management efforts, the company had achieved success repeatedly, expanding its range, and a petition to make it a stock-listed company had recently succeeded. The greatest advantage of being in the stockholding system is that you can sell stock certificates and gain a large amount of financing. The amount tends to be far greater than the business's normal profits. So this is an extremely effective way to gather a massive... Yeah, that's why you go public. This is just why businesses go public. So this is an extremely effective way to gather massive funds to expand the business even further. Okay, they're just explaining finances to me. However, in exchange for financing the company, the stockholders would gain certain rights. They're given rights that allow them to observe and guide the company they've invested in, leading to the profits even greater. Yep. The right is guaranteed to stockholders, and they sometimes use this to dismiss ineffectual management. The right allows them to keep an eye on management and prevent the money they've invested in the company from going to waste. However, if they use it forcibly, then they can eject the former management and take over the company. After all, dismissing management and nominating new management are powers held by general body of all shareholders. The power is okay. And people who hold more stock can cast more votes. This is just how public companies work. Yes, most companies various defensive measures to stop malicious. Yeah, no hostile takeovers. Like ensuring that lots of stock is bought up by those close to them, such as company employees. Oh, so it's possible they could have a hostile takeover. Okay. So he doesn't own as much stock in his company as he really should. In other words, there existed some people who wouldn't let him get away with that naivete unscathed. They began repeatedly buying up stock in Hideyoshi's company, rapidly gaining such strength that they couldn't be ignored. They sent an anonymous documents to the shareholders in an attempt to gain control of the majority. The document read, "The current management continues to make pointless investments and is ignoring the needs of its stockholders. Let us force the current management to retire, cut the current wasted investments, and let this company be born again as one that gives back more to the stockholders." It's very difficult to make an actual state of the company's management known. The fruits of Hideyoshi's sleepless nights and constant concern for his company were cruelly distorted, and he lost trust of his stakeholders. Thanks to these efforts, this group had almost collected a majority of the company's stock. At this point, Hideyoshi noticed that and started to buy back the stock, but the stockholders realized that the company was undergoing an acquisition maneuver, and each demanded a ridiculous price for the shares that Hideyoshi was trying to buy back. Oh my god, he got destroyed when they went public. They continually tortured Hideyoshi, who had no leeway to negotiate the price. One of the certainties of capitalism is the price. That's not really a capitalism thing, it's just like a market thing. One of the certainties of capitalism is that the price will rise when two parties vie. That's just economics. That's economics. And one of the certainties of democracy is that the majority controls everything. Also not true. So in the end, whoever manages to buy up most of the stock wins. Put another way, whoever has the most money wins. Unless Hideyoshi could obtain a large sum of money at this critical time, he could lose. Well, it's not that he's going to lose everything, it's just that he's not going to have majority control. Therefore, more than anything else, he wanted a lot of money right now. He couldn't wait for the division of Kinzo's inheritance, since no one knew when he would die. And you, Rudolph, have been in quite a lot of trouble lately too, haven't you? You always hear people say it's terrifying overseas, but it seems really is true. American trials are settled quite emotionally. They never hand down generous judgments to foreigners. Oh god, he got in trouble in the States. Weren't you advised by your lawyer that making a settlement with the other party would be more economical in the long run? What's this all about? Well, it's just some trouble from work. No big deal. Nothing you can't settle with money. Kyrie immediately guessed the meaning behind the subtle expression on Rudolph's face. Her husband had gotten wrapped up in some kind of trouble without her knowledge and had been worrying over it alone. That's right. In this world, anything can be settled with money. After all, it can even buy back the broken bonds between siblings. America is so very fussy about the violation of rights, but with money, anything can be settled. Long live capitalism. Though rumor has it that the settlement of money could be as high as several $1 million. Rudolph had been building a large amount of wealth with a certain niche type of industry. However, a niche is a niche. What was his niche? It was definitely wasn't a business exposed to the light of day. An American corporate giant was trying to accuse Rudolph's company of violating their rights. For various reasons, it was thought that victory for Rudolph in this trial would be extremely unlikely, and he was being forced to so they settled out of court. But even so, there was a way for this to be resolved with money. If he could just pay that money, it might still be painful, and he'd be able to pick himself back up. But if he didn't pay, he'd lose everything. Therefore, more than anything else, I think what's going on is he's exposing the fact that all these siblings are also having money issues. These people are all unlucky. They're all poor. I think they're all poor. I think the money's fake. I think there is no money anymore, actually. I changed my mind. There is no money, and they're just fighting over the ashes. Rosa, you're a good little noble sister. Noble little sister. Wouldn't you get yourself you wouldn't get yourself involved in a dangerous money game. However, your soft-hearted nature has brought you trouble, hasn't it? In my opinion, becoming a co-signer for anything isn't something one should enter into lightly. It's none of your business, Kraus. Rosa uncharacteristically laid bare her emotions and yelled. After all, no one was supposed to know that. As Kraus watched, he let slip a muffled laugh. Without exception, every one of them, more than anything else, wanted a lot of money right now. In other words, the situation had been reversed. After all, the younger siblings were threatening. Was the only one who had no urgent need for large sums of money. The other three, however, wanted a lot of money quickly, no matter the costs. In other words, the longer it took to establish this deal, the better position Kraus would be in. Kraus was extremely sly. He had known of their Achilles' heel from the beginning. Even so, he had not been certain. Therefore, he had hidden his knowledge until the very end, striking back only after analyzing their attitudes. If it were possible, I would like nothing more than to raise some money for my adorable siblings in their time of need. But unfortunately, I have nothing on hand. If you know of any sponsors that might be able to raise a whole $750 million, I suggest you try there first. Alright. The other siblings could do nothing more than listen, grinding their teeth. If they could think of a sponsor that convenient, they wouldn't have kept up the charade. They had entered this huge battle specifically because they had exhausted all other options. This is actually really cool. This is interesting. This has been like the best dialogue probably the game so far. But sometimes I feel like this game just overwrites a little bit. Like it explains everything. Like, I didn't really need that whole diatribe, like, explaining the concept of a of a public company. However, if you do insist on relying on your big brother, I wouldn't mind using my influence to help you find such a sponsor. Oh wait, I believe you said that I have no influence. Well, I'm afraid I won't be much help to you. Krause's low, gloating laugh began to fill the parlor. The younger siblings, who had been driving the oldest brother into a corner until a moment ago, could do nothing more than grimace and grind their teeth. Ava, don't make me laugh. As if I'd ever put myself in your debt. Don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh. If we relied on you, how exactly would you help us? I told you, didn't I? All I can do is find other sponsors for you. Of course, I will negotiate for the highest interest rate possible. Damn you, taking advantage of us. Honey, please calm down. I am calm. I'm extremely cool, you bastard. Kyrie grabbed her husband's hand, but that action made him feel even more pitiful, so Rudolph shook it off. Krause laughed as though watching something highly amusing. In times like these, it would certainly be nice to find Father's hidden gold. If you did, you could split it up into 2.5 billion yen portions right now. How sad. How sad. How sad. How very sad. How extremely, totally, truly, hopelessly sad. Tonight, let us all drink together, as we solve the riddle of Beatrice's epitaph and discover the location of Father's hidden gold. If we four friendly siblings work together, there's surely no puzzle we can't solve. Ha 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 ha! Ha ha ha! Fucking bastard. Ah, yes! No, I wanted to do more freaking Kinzo. I love Kinzo. I do every Kinzo soliloquy as a banger. Quite an entertaining scheme. Well then, what are the conditions they've attached? Well, whether or not Kraus-sama actually discovers the gold, he'll pay Eva, Rudolph, and Rosa a total of 7.5 billion yen for their shares. However, 10% of that will be paid before March. Oh! Wait! Somebody was spying on them! Oh! That's... Who was spying? Oh my god, Kinzo knows! No fucking way. Exactly. My prediction right now is that Battler finds the gold, but we'll see. Don't tell me though. I no spoilerinos. I can't believe I just said that. Oh my god, that's so bad. No, I'm taking that back. No spoilers. Ha 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 ha! Kraus, you dunce. To think he would have his feet swept out from under him by his younger siblings. How truly amusing. But it sounds as though they've tripped when going in for the kill. Yes. Oh! Cannon was spying. Yes. Kraus-sama exposed the fact that Eva-sama and the younger siblings all have urgent needs to get money. Is there any need to expose such obvious facts? That irresolute, incompetent man, what are they doing now? That conversation had been put on hold for the time being. Now Beatrice-sama's epitaph is being discussed. So they're trying to solve the riddle and find where my gold is hidden. Yes. Kinzo set down his spectacles and snorted. Will the miracle be fulfilled first, or will those fools expose the gold first? What a show this will be. At the very moment those fools solve my puzzle, I will suffer utter defeat. They can suck my... what? They can suck my corpse down to the last fragment of bone? The greed of fools can allow great magic to bring forth a miracle. And yet, if the fulfillment of miracle comes first, if it comes first, Beatrice will be resurrected again. The smile I have been chasing half my life will be restored. Oh, Beatrice, soon will come the sacred night when we shall be upon a miracle. The game of demons and the game of demons shall begin. I will surely prove triumphant and survive. I'll let you have the lives of all those others. I don't need wealth or honor or assets or gold or anything. All I want to see is your smile one last time. Kinzo choked, apparently in great pain. Kanon got closer and tried to pat his master's back, but Kinzo motioned for him to stop. Do you know why I went to the trouble of exposing the hidden location of the gold in a place that everyone can see? No. It is because magical power is determined by risk. If the number of people who try to discover Beatrice's gold is great, and the danger of them succeeding is great as well, then the power of magic will bring about a grand miracle if we succeed despite the odds. In other words, magic is a game. It is not it is not the case that the one who performs the best becomes the victor. The victor performs the best because he's been granted magic. Don't you see? It's similar to how the miracle of life can be granted only after winning against the divine odds of several 100 million to 1. Is this a little difficult for you? My apologies. Hold up. I'm just checking something real quick. That's fine. It all comes down to this. I will give all that I have built up to the one who solves the mystery of Beatrice's epitaph. Wealth, honor, gold, and the inheritance of the Ashiramiya family. Everything that I have established. My children certainly aren't the only ones with the right attempt to solve this riddle. Anyone who solves the riddle will have the right to gain everything, even you. Yes. However, I couldn't possibly understand such a difficult riddle. Of course. I made it difficult, but you must try to solve it as well. That will form the seed that summons the miracle of my magic. However, if the miracles come together and give birth to a magical power, it will happen. Beatrice will revive. That is why you must attempt it too. Everyone must attempt it. And in doing so, they will give strength to my magic. Do you understand? Yes, I will try. For a long time, Kinzo repeatedly muttered to himself, agitated and clutching in his head. Kanon stayed where he was, alert and unmoving, until he was given the next order from his master. Kinzo eventually realized this. Well, very well, leave me. There's a bag of sweets on the liquor cabinet. You can take some with you as a reward. He bribed him with candy. I'm fine. After all, I am furniture. So furniture doesn't eat sweets? Well, I suppose it stands to reason. In that case, leave me. Yes. Excuse me. Kanon bowed and left suddenly. As the door closed, a heavy locking noise sounded out. Oh, that's what the noise is. Okay. But it was not the sound of cannon locking the door. It was the door locking automatically. No one could enter without Kinzo's permission, and once they left, they could not enter again. It was a mechanism that Kinzo, unable to trust his blood relatives, had created to seal himself up in his own study and isolate himself from outside the world. From the outside world. Am I just a little dyslexic? I think I'm just a little dyslexic. He was already unable to trust anyone accepting, not the children who shared his blood, but those servants who called themselves furniture. I want to know the riddle. Nanjo-sama, how are you feeling? Ah, Genji-san. Oh, it's just that there's no place for me to be anymore. There's no place for me to be anymore. With a bitter laugh, Nanjo turned to face the door to the parlor. That look was apparently enough to tell Genji what Nanjo wanted to say. For the most part, Genji also understood the family's situation. It must have made him want to frown, knowing that right now in the lounge, the master he served was being discussed so disrespectfully. But it would have been very difficult to gather from his indifferent expression. Still, I don't understand. Why did Kinzo-san have something so provocative written, I wonder? Nanjo looked at the portrait of Beatrice. No, he actually directed his gaze beneath the portrait at the plate with the epitaph. I do not presume to understand the master's thoughts. However, I'm sure he had a deep reason for doing so. Since long ago, when Kinzo-san played chess, he would have always prepared his moves according to some far-reaching judgment. I would just make some weird play and I just couldn't read the board correctly. I'm not very good at chess. Yes, sometimes even to make moves I couldn't understand. For an average person like me, it was impossible. He's playing 5D chess. He's playing 5D chess. They're just telling us he's playing 5D chess. Sometimes I wonder if this might be some kind of will in the master's eyes. The One Piece is real. Perhaps he wishes to hand over his wealth and title to the one that can understand it. So you're thinking he may have wanted the four siblings to work together and solve the riddle, before some outsider like myself solved it? Kinzo-san may speak for his children in insulting terms, but perhaps he also wants them to repair their relationship. Ellipses. It certainly would be heartwarming if, as Nanjo had suggested, this epitaph had been made to repair the siblings' relationship. However, both Nanjo and Genji knew that nothing could be more impossible than this. They'd known Kinzo longer than anyone, and Kinzo trusted them more than his own relatives. But even they could not guess at his true motives. The master always says that everyone has the right to try to solve the riddle, even if they aren't a member of the family. What about you, Dr. Nanjo? No, it's a little too difficult of a puzzle for this senile old man. You're not senile, Nanjo. Come on, give yourself a break. Actually, I once wrote this epitaph down on my notebook. Night after night, I would try to solve it before going to sleep. But it's really hard. It looks like we might have some free time to relax and consider it before someone comes to get us. What do you say? Are they gonna try to work? Okay, I wonder if some of the servants are gonna try to do it now too. I'm nothing more than furniture in service to the master. Gold and assets are unnecessary to me. Why do they all just have no self-worth? My, you're very modest. I imagine that's why Kinzo-san trusts you so much. If so, I am honored. As Nanjo lightly laughed in response, he once again looked at the epitaph. Oh, here it is! Okay. Behold the sweet fish river running through my beloved hometown. You who seek the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. That's it? Oh. Wait, what? I'm confused. Okay, whatever. You who see the golden land, follow its path downstream in search of the key. As you travel down it, you will see a village. In that village, look for the shore the two will tell you of. There sleeps the key to the golden land. The one who obtains the key must travel to the golden land in accordance with these rules. What the fuck? Okay. Oh no. On the first twilight, offer the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. Okay, I'm just wondering something. On the second twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the two who are close. On the third twilight, those who remain shall praise my noble name. On the fourth twilight, gouge the head and kill. On the fifth twilight, gouge the chest and kill. Jesus Christ. This shit's about okay, this is gonna be darker than I thought. On the sixth twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the seventh twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill. On the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. On the 10th twilight, at journey's end, you shall attain the power of the Golden Land's treasures once and for the last time. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. One shall be all the gold from the Golden Land. One shall be the resurrection of all the dead souls. One shall be the resurrection of the love that was lost. One shall be put to the witch to sleep for all time. Sleep peacefully, my beloved witch Beatrice. Oh, I think that's a tip. I think I got a tip. Oh, I'm so happy. I finally get a tip. That's gotta be a tip. Alright, it's 3 o'clock. So on the 10th twilight, the journey ends, and you reach the Golden Land. You really are diligent, Maria. Let me see if that is a tip. Okay. I'm glad I have that. Really diligent, that's what she's gonna say. Your next line is, really good job writing this all down. I forget a lot, so I always write things down. Me too. Mama told me to. There was a notebook inside the handbag Maria was always carrying around, and Beatrice's epitaph was copied onto it. Thanks to that, we were all able to challenge the puzzle of the epitaph while walking down this beach. Jessica and the rest had already tried to solve it several times, and they'd already gotten bored with it. However, since this was a first for me, I was so excited that I couldn't stop. It really tickled my sense of adventure. Let's start with the first line. Behold the sweet fish river running through my beloved hometown. Where was grandfather's hometown again? I heard that before the war, the Oshiramiya family had a mansion near Odawara, which makes you want to know which Sweetfish River flows through Odawara, right? Yeah, because that river would be the starting place. Anyone searching for the Golden Land would head down that and search for the key. What's this river in Odawara? Does it have sweetfish swimming in it? If you're looking for sweetfish in Odawara, it'd have to be Hayakawa. It's famous for its mountain stream fishing. Ugh, I hate fish! Maria, you'll understand when you get a bit older. Lick, lick, lick. Salty, roasted sweet fish. Yummy. Even though we just ate, I'm getting hungry again. That's one of my favorite, like, anime tropes, is, like, the main character who's always hungry. I love that one. That's, like, the good anime trope. Shall I bring you a biscuit? Huh? Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant. Don't mind it. Shannon-chan kept faithfully keeping us company since she didn't have any afternoon chores for a while. She's in on it. She wants the money for herself. She knows what's up. She's a bad bitch. Shannon's secretly a bad bitch, and we just don't know it yet. I would have thought that since she's a servant, accompanying us would force her to take care of us and tire her out, but it didn't seem to be the case for her. On the contrary, she seemed to be enjoy joining in. That's such a weird. Enjoy joining in. That's okay. That's just a translation thing. In on a conversation with people who close to her age. When I asked, I heard that she was the sort of worker whose room and board were supplied by her employer. So normally, the only person close to her in age was Jessica. Yeah, I can imagine how that might be pretty dull. Okay, so I get that the sweetfish-filled river near Odawara is Hayakawa. In that case, we've gotta go down it. Do you find anything if you head down the Hayakawa River? If you follow downstream, you'll arrive at the ocean. Of course, you'd reach the mouth of the river. And the third line of the epitaph was, as you travel down it, you'll see a village. By the way, since long ago, the mouths of the rivers have been key points in transportation, and large cities tend to be built there. That'd be the next checkpoint. That's a pretty good theory. Just like you'd guessed, there's an old city there that was very prosperous in ancient times. That's where Odawara Castle is. Ah, I think I might have gone to Odawara Castle on a field trip once. It was a really wonderful castle. I guess this is all on the mainland though, right? Like, they're on this island, they're really far away. What does this old man have planned? Yeah, I also went there. Even though I live in a Western-style house, it's true that Japanese people feel calmer with a Japanese layout. Ugh. Castles are boring. Theme parks are better. Ugh. I do not like theme parks, and I do like castles. Castles at theme parks are, however, somewhat rad. I see, okay. If we find the gold, the great Battler-sama will generously reserve a whole theme park for a day and let you play in it. Still, Odawara Castle, huh? The hidden gold of Odawara Castle. Oh, that's actually starting to sound pretty good. Ha ha ha. Well, we figured out that much 2 years ago. The village down the river where the sweetfish swim in Odawara. We figured it was probably somewhere near Odawara Castle. The problem is the next line. Okay, let's see here. Battler's strange reasoning can take him. Jessica grinned broadly. She seemed to be implying that she would have solved the puzzle long ago if it was that easy. Damn it. I'll definitely find it and keep it all for myself. The fourth line. In that village, look for the shore the two will tell you of. The two will tell you of. I don't know what it means by the two, but anyway, the shore. What does it mean by the shore? No, wait. No, wait. Is there any place near the shore or Kishi in its name? I've heard there's a place called Soga Kishi in Odawara. Huh? Wow, you sure know a lot about it. What could that mean? Shannon, are you trying to solve that riddle and get the gold too? That makes us rivals. It's not like I'm interested in gold. It's just that George-sama told me about it before. I still think her and George-sama have a... I think there's a thing between them. I don't know. I have zero proof for this. That's because we reached the same conclusion 2 years ago. We even went to the trouble of laying out a map and looking it up. It was about 5 kilometers to the north of Odawara. We definitely found a place called Soga Kishi there. However, after that we got stuck. The 5th line doesn't say where the key is hidden in that place. Maria-chan, could you read it for us? There sleeps the key to the golden land. I could read it. You're 9. You should be able to read. Why is she written like she's 5? I'm not gonna question it. Soga Kishi is probably large, so there wasn't ever any house there built by the Ashiramiya family. Not much we can do to find a key in such a vast area without any hints. Yeah, it'd be like trying to find a needle in the haystack. You're right. And without the key, we can't advance to the next line. George Anaki, what kind of place is Soga Kishi? Hold up. Let's see. I've never been there, so I don't really know, but according to the map, it's in the mountains. I'm pretty sure it was at the base of Mount Asama. Something doesn't feel right. You'd expect a riddle pointing the way to hidden gold to be a bit more exact. I get the feeling that there is even the part about reading is hard. I get the feeling that even the part about Soga Kishi was a mistake. Well, I think it could be Soga Kishi. It could be talking about some house that grandfather lived in when he was a kid that we don't know about. After all, the first line mentioned his beloved hometown. Shannon, you served grandfather alcohol and stuff lots of times. Hasn't he ever talked to you about his past? The master almost never speaks about the past. However, he talks about the Great Kanto earthquake as though it was someone else's story, so he may have been living far away from the Kanto area. The Yoshiramiya family may have been living in Odawara, but not all the branch families were. Grandfather often called himself part of a branch family. The least connected to the successor. And that means such beloved hometown might not even be Odawara at all. That seems most correct, actually. I've never heard anything about grandfather's hometown, and I doubt he'd actually tell me if I asked. If the so-called beloved hometown isn't referring to the Oshiramiya family's roots, then the Odawara theory is wrong from the beginning. Of course, this doesn't completely remove the possibility that it was Soga Kishi. For example, perhaps he lived in Odawara when he was very young, but then moved away very far later. Ugh. I don't understand what you're all talking about. Ugh. Maria had been completely left out of the conversation. She now sat puffing out her cheeks in boredom. So basically, if we can't even agree on the starting point for this dice game of gold, we're totally stuck. But wait, after the first 5 lines, the thing that we ended up finding is a key, right? Even if you don't have a key, it's always possible to bust through a door. Can't we just skip the first 5 lines and start figuring out the rest? Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Oh well, we're just wasting time anyway. Let's hear the rest of Battler's reasoning. But in the next part, it gets dark really fast. Shannon-chan frowned slightly. She's like dumb. Just a little bit at least. Yeah, I was forced to agree. On the first Twilight, offer the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. It sure does get horrible quickly. On the second Twilight, it says tear the 2 apart who are close. That's going to be George and Shannon. I'm predicting it. Wait, am I still alive? Okay, I am still alive. Holy smokes, I thought I was not okay for a second. Oh my gosh. It absolutely bewildered me. I usually keep a Twitch tab open and a Streamlabs tab. Okay, whatever. Does that mean make them break off their loving relationship? I can't wait to like be further into this game and then I'm completely wrong about everything. And it's like Battler actually just really wants to have sex with his cousin or something. Or does it literally tear them apart? I don't know, but either way, it's pretty disgusting. Even if we set that second line aside, it mentions 6 people for the first Twilight. Then 5 people for the... Okay, there's more than 9 people. So at least 11 people must be sacrificed. Ugh! Their sacrifices to revive Beatrice. I see. Sacrifices to restore the witch. Yeah, that's what it'd mean. Near the end, the witch will be revived on the 9th Twilight. The last part is guaranteed. On the 9th Twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. So everyone will die in the end. And after that, the 10th Twilight is the goal line. I'm not sure how you're supposed to reach the Golden Land if everyone's dead by then. Is this really worth it? I don't think this is worth it. Like, I think this stinks. Oh well. Oh, wait, did I miss something? Yeah, I did. Depending on how you interpret it, the traveler who holds the key may or may not be included in the none shall be left alive part. But at the end, there's something pretty interesting. After reaching the goal, the witch gives out 4 treasures. One shall be the gold. The problem is the next one. It says the dead souls will be resurrected, right? Doesn't that sound like everyone who died in the earlier lines? If you put it like that, then the part about reviving lost love might refer to the pair torn apart on the 2nd twilight. That's right. And the 4th one refers to the 9th twilight. The 4th treasure is putting the witch revived on the 9th twilight to sleep. If we put a happy spin on all this, it'll be hectic with people dying and breaking up all over the place, but it'll be all made right in the end. The awakened witch will sleep again, and everything will be like it was in the start, except with a huge pile of gold. The witch must be pretty busy, what with all the people killing, reviving, breaking up, and reuniting people. Not to mention the waking and sleeping. Ha 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 ha. Sheesh. Just when the tale of hidden gold was getting interesting, it all gets pretty dubious once the witch starts showing up. Too true. Ha ha ha. I laughed along with Jessica. After all, the idea of a witch was just too ridiculous. I haven't streamed this long in a while. That's actually really good. I'm happy that I'm streaming so long today. I laughed a lot with Jessica, as after all, the idea of a witch was just too ridiculous. I'm guarantee you this is all gonna happen. I want to see half of these people like sacrificed and slaughtered. It's gonna be awful. Of course, once we start laughing like that, Maria, who believed in the witch, got angry. Ugh, the witch is incredible. She could do anything with magic, even kill, even bring back to life, even give love, even take it. She can fly in the sky, can become invisible, and can even make gold and bread out of nothing. Irk. Dang. My bad, we were just joking. Jessica apologized, sticking out her tongue, but Maria didn't accept it. She grabbed her notebook back out of my hands and, opening to some of the other pages, tried to prove that the witch existed. Those pages had colorful drawings of witches on them, and well conveyed the fantastical image Maria had of witches. It wasn't the normal, sinister image of a crooked-nosed hag flying around on a broom, but of a dreamlike person with unnatural powers who could do anything and wore a beautiful dress. It was just what you'd expect from an imaginative young girl. Flitting through the sky, crossing a rainbow, dancing around all night with a teacup and a teapot that would never get empty no matter how much of it you poured out of it. With a flourish of her staff, the stars in the sky would become candy and pour down, and flowers that produced sweets would bud by the roadside. To Maria, witches were the only concept that could embody the magical dream that so captivated her. As she grew older, it was the last remaining thing that she could give riches. It was the last remaining thing that could give riches to her dull and plain everyday life. That's why Maria believed in witches. She didn't want a dream of hers to be tarnished. That's why she didn't want anyone to tarnish the epitaph, which affirmed the existence of witches. Because the witch named Beatrice is Maria's dream. To Maria-chan, the epitaph isn't a guide to the hidden gold, but magic to revive the witch. So it was a single link between Maria and the witch. Maria was very angry and clung to George. Jessica and I scratched our heads and apologized. It might not be possible to smooth things over again like the time she got mad in front of the portrait. Maria didn't seem willing to be so easily consoled. Unlike Jessica and I, who hung our heads wondering what to do, Shannon-chan timidly opened her mouth. Maria-sama, did you know there's a ghost story about Beatrice? Whoops, my bad. That has been passed among the servants. Yeah, that's right. Shannon, tell us about it. I don't really know, but it's apparently pretty famous among the servants. What is this? A ghost story? Yes. It seems it's a story from before we were born. I also heard about it from my mother. Yes, it has been passed down since the time of the mansion's construction. Please make it a tip for me. The servants of that time whispered that the mansion had two masters, one of the day and one of the night. The tale Shannon told was just like a typical campfire ghost story. If there was a forest with a witch living inside it, then of course the witch would come to pay the mansion a visit from time to time. At some point, this ghost story naturally sprouted between the servants. When people do the rounds a second time to check the doors, windows, and locks that were supposedly closed, they'd find some of them left open. Lights that were supposed to be turned off were turned on, and lights that were supposed to be turned on went out. Things left lying around would disappear, and things would appear when no one had any memory of putting them there. When any of these things happened, the old servants would say that the witch had visited the mansion, invisible, and was playing pranks. Ugh. She exists! She exists! Beatrice exists! Yeah, she exists. Long ago, it was always right before leaving for school that I wasn't able to find my bag and stuff. Maria puffed out her chest with an ugh, as though this was the final proof of the witch's existence. Whoops, I think I skipped it. If I opened my mouth, Maria would probably hurt again, so I didn't. I mean, you hear this kind of story everywhere. Depending on the place, they might blame it on a dwarf or an elf. Well, no, that would only be in, like, Scandinavian societies. I think that's a okay. The only difference is what they call it a witch on this island. Of course, walking around a vast, elegant mansion at night would be a little unsettling. It's an island devoid of people. Whoa. Hi, you are very insightful. My tips for Umineko. Be patient, never stop thinking. And every line of Umineko has like 10 hidden meanings. You have to reread the game 10 times to get everything. Also, according to me, you could seriously say that Umineko is among the best Japanese literature in history. Also, many fans think Maria is autistic, but this is never outright confirmed by the game. Oh, okay. Thank you. I really appreciate your comment. I'm actually really enjoying this game so far. It's an island devoid of people. Since the mansion was so drafty, walking around on the night of the thunderstorm would have been certainly be eerie. In addition, some servants will also be seen have also seen will-o'-the-wisps and glittering butterflies dancing around. Cannon-kun also saw something like that when he was patrolling one night, and recently you often hear servants talking about strange footsteps heard inside the mansion near midnight. I feel like there's something weird that's gonna happen like the first night. Like I don't know how long the family's gonna be staying here for this conference, but I feel like there's gonna be something that happens. Where was I? Okay, we've whispered together that the Beatrice Sama in the portrait sometimes makes herself invisible and walks through the mansion. It happened a while ago. But even I have heard the footsteps while patrolling at night that resemble these stories. Phew, that's scary. Ah, but there's nothing to be afraid of. Beatrice Sama is another ruler of this mansion, separate from the master. So there's no need to be unnaturally afraid. If you respect her, I hear she won't do anything bad. I'm pretty sure... Did Badler say something about touching her breasts? Because he might have. And I feel like that's not going to end well. However, she can be quite terrifying if you don't respect her, right? Correct. I've heard that just before I began working here, someone who spoke badly about Beatrice Sama fell down the stairs and quit after receiving a large injury to their back. Because of that, there was a rumor between the servants that Beatrice Sama's anger had been brought down upon this person. Or that probably Kinzo just pushed their ass, I don't know. Ugh. Anger will be definitely brought down on Battler and Jessica. Ugh. I'm sorry, I don't want her anger brought down upon me. I apologize, Maria. I also apologize to the witch. I'm sorry, Beatrice. Please forgive an outsider's nonsense. I'll apologize as well. I'm sorry, Beatrice Sama. Wait, I just had an idea. I'll do it later. Will the witch be able to forgive us now? Ugh, don't know. Witches are fickle, so they forgive when they want to, and don't when they don't. Ugh. That's no good. Maria, isn't there some kind of good luck charm that could prevent Battler-kun and Jessica-chan from suffering Beatrice Sama's wrath? Maybe something that can block against magic. By relying on Maria, who was proud of knowing the most about witches, George was trying to revive her self-esteem. I love George. He's such a sweetie pie. He's done nothing wrong. I'm sure he'll do nothing evil. It's always in, like, these mystery animes, it's like the nicest guy turns out to be, like, the most evil little person. Once again, I've got to admire his ability to calm kids down. After taking a moment to cross her arms and seriously ponder whether there might be a charm that could save us, she started flipping through the pages of her notebook. I thought it was just a scribbled diary, but there also seemed to be quite a few pages that looked like they'd come from a book on black magic. Maria solemnly considered a group of these pages, which contains things that looked like magic circles. Apparently, grandfather wasn't the only one with a black magic hobby. When Maria-chan... I can't believe I just said Maria-chan. Totally freaking... without it. Oh no, I'm so embarrassed. She snapped the notebook shut and threw it into her handbag. She then began fishing through the bag's contents. There seemed to be various jumbled up things in there. After a while, she took out various pieces of junk, although they were probably important magical items to Maria, and repeatedly threw them back, saying they were wrong. It was all a little humorous. Just like when Doraemon took out the wrong tool. Okay, that's a little above my understanding. Finally, she seemed to discover what she was looking for. With a face that was unimaginably cheery when compared to the intense expression she had worn until now, she held those out to Jessica and me. Ugh! I grabbed it and saw it was a very cheap-looking charm. It looked like a bracelet made from a plastic rosary, with a scorpion-themed medal attached. Haven't you seen those cheap Zodiac-themed accessories? The kind you might win in a crane game at an arcade? It really looked like something like that. There were two of them. Probably one for me, one for Jessica. Like, maybe they're the lovers that are pulled apart somehow, as much as I really don't want to think they are. Like, I feel like this is like, just the fact that she's giving it like to them, like, by Western magic standards, like, this is magical. However, the fact that there were two of them made them feel even more cheap, manufactured goods, making it pretty hard to think of them as magical items. You're giving these to me in Battler? Ugh! With these charms, you don't need to worry about Beatrice, because scorpions have the power to ward off magic. Huh, really? Didn't know scorpions could do that. I wonder if that's, like, a true in, like, some society. Battler doesn't believe. Ugh! I'd say too much and angered Maria again. Maria took out her notebook again, pointing out various pages. She went on and on about how the scorpion had incredibly holy power that had been used in magical circles since ancient times. Ah, I've heard about that from some of the other young servants. Something about how the scorpion is drawn as a magic-repelling symbol in sorcery. Huh, really? Ugh! The scorpion protects against bad magic and calamity. An emerald brings peace to the heart. Therefore, its effects are twofold. Ugh! She knows her shit. It's true. The scorpion wraps around the emerald and protects it. Yes, that certainly does sound like it'd work well. I really wanted to make fun of those worthless-looking charms, but as I watched Maria explaining with all her heart and realized that she'd found them for our sakes, I started to feel that it might actually work, even if it was just a prize for some game center. The material quality of the charm didn't matter. What mattered was the strength of her feelings. Exactly, he gets it. That's the magic. That's how magic works. Even if I don't think of myself as the sort of loser who'd laugh at something like that. Okay, thank you. I apologize to Beatrice-sama, but even if I do end up getting cursed, I'll be safe for now, thanks to Maria-chan. Right, Jessica? Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Maria. Ugh! Wear it on your arm when you want your heart to be at peace. Put it in your wallet, and your money won't decrease. If you hang it from a doorknob, bad things can't get in. Oh, that's an important detail. That's an important detail. It's a really convenient charm. What an incredible effect. If Maria-san gives it her confident seal of approval, then it must surely be reliable. Shannon-chan clapped her hands together, and Maria stuck out her chest. She's totally in a good mood again. It's probably best if we let her lead the conversation a bit longer, if it'll keep her in such a good mood. Come to think of it, she looked a bit bored when we were getting excited about the hitting gold, probably because she couldn't keep up. While eating the cookies Kumasawa-san had baked, Jessica and I asked Maria this and that about black magic. Maria happily chatted away in response to our questions. Each time, George and Shannon would act surprised or chime in. The clouds in the sky grew darker and darker, but we cousins rarely enjoyed communicating freely after a year of separation. Well, 6 for you. Did I just feel a drop on my forehead? Oh, it's starting to rain. Huh? I wonder. As George Anaki rubbed his forehead, he looked up at the sky. Considering the color of the sky and the dampness of the air, it wouldn't have been odd for a raindrop to hit him. The wind also seemed to have been grown a bit stronger. Ugh. I didn't feel a drop. Only I didn't. Ugh. Don't worry, neither did I. Anyway, I'm sure it'll rain so much tonight that everyone will get to feel plenty of raindrops. That's right. Maybe we should head back soon. Shannon-chan looked at her watch. It was probably well into the evening by now. Yeah. Is it already time for you to return to your work? Yes. Thank you very much for allowing me to enjoy some time together with you all. Tell Kumasawa-san thanks for the cookies. I wonder if I'm just a little too curious about Kinzo's wife. I wonder if they'll talk about her later, because that seems more important. Shannon-chan declined our help, saying this was a servant's job, but picking up dropped forks before the waitress has to is pretty much my purpose in life. We folded up the blanket, gathered up the trash, and helped clean everything up. Ugh! The trash is getting away! Ugh! I won't let it escape. I'll grab it before Maria does. Ugh! I'll grab it. Ugh! Maria, don't get your shoes wet. You'll get in trouble. To Maria, chasing after some trash sent flying by the powerful winds was just another game. By the time we finished, the wind was blowing pretty strongly. Probably a good time to head back. You've all helped me out a lot. Thank you very much. It looks like you're really out of time. It's okay if you head back first. George Anaki perceived from her hurried appearance that very little of her free time was left. Genji-san's very strict about time. If you don't show up where you're supposed to be at the right time, I bet he'll be pissed. Well, see you later. Do your best with your work. Yeah. Then, if you'll excuse me. After making a respectful bow, Shannon-chan ran towards the rose garden. Okay, let's head back to the guest house. We can watch TV or something and relax a little. Ugh! Wanna watch TV? Wanna watch TV? Ugh! Then it's decided. Let's all head back and watch TV together. As really boring in the 1980s. Maria, who wasn't done having fun, agreed once television was mentioned. We climbed up the giant stairs and returned to the rose garden. The wind had grown very strong, and the roses shook throughout the garden like ripples on the water. This might be our last chance to see these beautiful roses. I bet tonight's typhoon will ruin them. These roses might be done in by tonight's winds. You're right. Still, I think the roses were pretty lucky. After all, they got welcomed. They got to welcome all of you before the typhoon. Typhoon! Typhoon! All flowers lose their petals eventually. That doesn't mean we can't admire them even more when they're in bloom. That's right. Whoops. Maria, burn this image into your eyes. At this moment, the best roses of the year. I think I'm going to go till 1 o'clock, and that's all I'll end for today. Ugh! Burned into eyes! Right then, Maria suddenly clapped her hands. It looked like she'd remembered something. My rose. The typhoon will send it flying. Ugh! Oh, you mean that sad-looking rose George marked with a ribbon? Maria apparently remembered where the rose was. She ran at full speed. The rest of us followed her. Ugh! Ugh? Where was that again? I'm sure it was somewhere around here. We searched everywhere around the area. I wonder if that was the rose that that Goda used for the garnish, but it seems like I wouldn't use a wilted rose for that. Even though we knew it was somewhere close by, we weren't able to find it. The winds making up the typhoon's front lines made roses throughout the garden undulate. It was almost like they were teasing us by making the location of Maria's rose impossible to find. Maybe it wasn't here. Or maybe it was the witch that did it. You never know. Let's try spreading out here. Let's try spreading out a bit in our search. Sounds good. Let's go for strength in numbers. What's up, Maria? As we made to split up in search, Maria tugged my jacket with an unhappy face. You could tell that she didn't want to leave that spot. What is it? What's wrong? Ugh! My rose is here. It's here! But it's actually not, right? Maybe it was on the other side of the flower bed. If we all look, we'll find it fast, okay? Ugh! It's here! My rose is here! Look for it! Look for it! Ugh! Maria stomped her feet in irritation. She pointed at that spot and said it was definitely there, but in actuality it wasn't. Even so, Maria got... well, maybe it, fell. Maria got mad when she said we were going to search elsewhere. It's gonna come up later. We were at a loss for what to do. For a while, we had to stay near Maria and pretend to search through the rose thicket. Ugh! Ugh! Not here! Not here! Not here! Ugh! Maybe she's saying that it should be here, but it isn't. Maria became increasingly irritated. Oh man, Maria's really losing her temper. Sometimes Maria starts to really care about pointless stuff. Or what if they find the rose and it's healed? That would be really cool. If she gets what she wants, that's okay, but you can't find something that isn't there. That's not good. Just when we were at a loss of what to do, Maria called out in a loud voice, "Mama!" We could see Aunt Rosa in the direction Maria was waving her hand. Maybe she wanted to look at the garden one more time before the typhoon came. Or maybe she had some business at the guest house. Aunt Rosa was coming from the mansion. She quickly noticed that her daughter's voice came over. Why, what happened, everyone? Are you looking for something? Looking for it. Mama, you look for my rose too. Ugh! Your rose? We found an unhealthy rose around here and marked it. We tied a candy wrapper around it, but Maria if I remember correctly. It was growing right in front and really stood out, didn't it? Unless it grew legs and ran off somewhere, it must have been somewhere else. Maybe you remembered it wrong. Ugh! It is here! It is here! Rattler doesn't believe! How many times do I have to tell you to stop saying before you'll understand? Mama will look for it, so stay quiet. Oh, she's freaking dropping the hammer. I'd never seen Aunt Rosa be anything other than kind and gentle, so her anger surprised me a bit. Aunt Rosa began searching as well. Went along with her for the time being. But we never were already more than sure it wasn't around here. It's also possible that it could have just blown away in the wind, but it's not. This is like a Chekhov's gun. I mean, come on. So it didn't take long for Aunt Rosa to realize that too. The rose isn't here. Did you mistake this place for somewhere else? There are so many roses around. Ugh! Ugh! That's wrong! It is here! Mama doesn't believe. Ugh! I already believed you and looked for it, didn't I? But it isn't here. Ugh! But it is here! It is here, but it isn't. Ugh! And someone must have ripped it out. Anyway, stop saying ugh. Ugh! But who ripped out my rose? Who did? Give it back! Give it back! Ugh! Ugh! How should I know? Stop saying ugh! Oh my god, she hit her kid. She fucking hit her kid. She hit her kid. Okay, now I hate her. Oh my fucking god. That is so fucked up. I'm so mad. Anything I've said wrong about Maria, I take back. I love Maria. She's sweet and precious and needs to be protected from her own fucking mother who is fucking hitting her. In that instant, Maria was shocked to silence. Of course, it was only for an instant. When Maria realized that her wish was being rejected, she started yelling even louder. Ugh! Ugh! My rose! My rose! Ugh! Didn't I tell you to stop that weird habit? That's why all the kids in your class make fun of you. Cut it out. Oh my god! This is so fucked up. This time she didn't go silent. She's an asshole. She choked as she started crying and began to bawl in an increasingly loud voice. Aunt Rosa was clearly irritated and lifted her. Oh my god, she literally lifted her. Aunt Rosa, now, she's just a little kid. No reason to get so serious. I tried to cut in with a bitter smile, rubbing my hands together. But Aunt Rosa glared at me with a serious face, and I realized I should have stayed out. No, you should not have stayed out of this. She's fucking hitting her kid. I'm sorry, but could the rest of you go back to your room for a bit? I need to have a little talk with Maria. Ugh! Nobody believes in my rose, even though it was here. Look for it. Look for it. Here it was. Ugh. But it's not here, so you must have confused this place for somewhere else, right? Ugh. It is here. It's definitely here. Ugh. Then it disappeared. Give it up. Why? Why did it disappear? Why? Why? Ugh. I don't know that. Stop saying ugh. Oh my, I can't. This is nuts. This is mental illness. It was strong enough to knock Maria over? Hey, Aunt Rosa, even if she is your daughter, violence isn't the answer. I stepped between them to protect Maria, who was still on the ground, crying, ugh. I knew that as an outsider, problems between parent and child were none of my business. But I wasn't brought up to just silently observe something like this. Don't you think it's weird, Badler-kun? Are there any girls at your school who mutter, ugh? Well, I am in high school, but for an elementary schooler, I think saying ugh is pretty cute. Cute? Saying ugh is cute? Cute! My careless words seemed to have earned me Aunt Rosa's wrath. She grabbed my collar with a terrifying expression. Don't say such nonsense. Don't you know how old Maria is? She's 9. That's what I've been saying this. Now I was giving her shit and now I feel bad. She's a 4th grader, not a kindergartner. But she still makes that sound during class. Don't you get it? Don't you know what they say about this kid when they bully her? Thanks to this weird habit, she still hasn't made a single friend. Don't turn your eyes away from reality and carelessly call Maria cute. Think more seriously about this kid's future. I told you, stop making that sound. Didn't I tell you to stop it? I tried to stop it, but Aunt Rosa pushed me away. My back hit George. Why is he not doing anything? Get the girl tested, my man. How she talks isn't really a big deal, right? She'll never make it as an adult if she talks like that. So even though it isn't fun to watch, it isn't fun to watch. This problem is between parent and child? That's so bullshit. Well, even I got chewed out by my mom all the time because of how I talked. Geez, I still do. When they put it that way, maybe even a scene as painful as this isn't something an outsider like me should butt in on. Yeah, absolutely you should butt... Jeez. Battler-kun, when you were a kid, didn't you have any bad habits that you couldn't fix that got you into trouble? Well, 1 or 2. On Parents' Day once I kept getting yelled at in front of everyone. It was embarrassing as all hell. Well, then you can understand how the 2 of them must feel right now. I'm sure they don't want us to be here right now. You understand that too, don't you, Jessica-chan? I don't think anyone likes to be seen when they're being scolded. She's getting abused. These people are all idiots. Let's go. We'll return to the guest house. Then after Maria-chan comes back, we'll welcome her as if nothing happened. That's probably for the best, isn't it? We thought George Anaki's point was a reasonable one. And we may have been eager to use that reasonable-sounding argument as justification to retreat from this heart-rending scene. Jessica and I nodded at George Anaki, and we all left. We called towards Maria, telling her that we were going to head to the guest house, but she didn't seem to hear, and we all felt guilty and shameless after saying it. In that case, look by yourself as much as you want. Mama doesn't care. I'll look for it. I'll look for it by myself, even if Mama doesn't care. Have it your way. After blasting her with those last few words, Rosa spun on her heels and quickly returned to the mansion. Maria probably viewed that as a cold gesture meant to injure, but that wasn't Rosa's intention. It was because the hand which she had emotionally struck Maria's cheek was still numb. As absolutely freaking ghoulish. It was because if she stayed there screaming, she might again be taken over by her emotions and continue slapping her daughter's cheek over and over. After Rosa left, Maria was left alone in the rose garden. The wind began to blow. Oh no, I don't like it. I don't like this. I feel like she's gonna go missing. I mean, this is like whole weird because I don't even know who Maria's dad is, and I feel like that's like a mystery I want to know about too. The wind began to blow stronger and stronger, and every once in a while a raindrop would fall on her forehead. However, Maria couldn't leave that place, not until she found that poor, wilting rose. It had definitely been there. Even so, it wasn't. Even though she knew the place, and even though she had been there, it wasn't. Maria bitterly stared at that place it was supposed to be and thought frantically. Maybe the angle I'm looking at it from is wrong. Maybe the height I'm looking from is wrong. While gazing at a single point, Maria repeatedly stood up, changed her position, and continued to stare. The wind was getting stronger and stronger, but Maria kept looking for that rose of the flower bed. I think that's a good place to leave off. I know it's a little earlier than actually it's only 8 minutes earlier than I said it would. But I think I made some pretty good progress in the game today. And I'll probably be back tomorrow. I don't know, I'm trying to stream a lot this week because I've been trying to stream more, but like shit's just tough because I'm not in the best health, but we'll see. Alright, I will be back probably around the same time. Peace.